They told us months ago that this would be a policy that they would pursue to create a disincentive, a deterrent for these folks and these families to come to our border, many of whom are seeking asylum, many of whom are fleeing the murder capitals of the world. Murder capitals of the world. And this is what we're doing. This is not reflective of who we are as a country, and it has got to stop. I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border. Do not come. Do not come.
Mira que ya viene la revolución, para que se asustan será pa' mejor. Es el pueblo entero el que ya está gritando, viva la revolución.
Iranian nuclear weapons development.
They have turned the island into a communist hellhole.
The experiment in Venezuela has failed completely.
This is Kamala Harris a few years ago responding to the migrant caravan and Trump and kids in cages, contrasted with some of her more recent comments about immigrants. So I'll just play this real quick.
I want to play for you this audio that's leaked just recently, late today, courtesy of ProPublica. NBC has not independently verified it, but you've probably heard about it. We played it at the top of our broadcast. It is difficult to listen to, but I wanted to get your response. Take a listen. And Senator, since I know that you're on an earpiece and you join us from voting, I'll just read some of it on the translation. It's children screaming for their parents, saying, asking for their father for their mother, saying mommy. Then a Border Patrol agent identified by ProPublica says, well, this is a, quote, orchestra here. We're only missing a conductor. And another child then pleading, when could my aunt come and pick me up? I have the number memorized, not even yet understanding what's being done to them. Your response to this being what the policy looks like?
I mean, it's heartbreaking, Ari. It's heartbreaking. And it's unnecessary. You know, it's really unconscionable. The American Medical Association, the Academy of Physicians and Pediatricians have all looked specifically at what's happening with these children being separated from their parents and have documented and have projected potentially lifelong trauma being caused to these children. They are innocent. They're innocent and they're being traumatized. Anyone who has parented a child or been a child, my God, the idea that we would be removing these babies from their parents, and it's not necessary. Ari, that's the thing that is so outrageous and maybe even compelling about this. It's not necessary. The law does not require it, and certainly ethics and morals don't require it. Why are they doing it? You know why they're doing it? Because it is exactly what they told us they would do. You know, Maya Angelou said that years ago. People tell you who they are. Listen the first time. They told us months ago that this would be a policy that they would pursue to create a disincentive, a deterrent for these folks and these families to come to our border, many of whom are seeking asylum, many of whom are fleeing the murder capitals of the world. Murder capitals of the world. And this is what we're doing. This is not reflective of who we are as a country. And it has got to stop. It really has to stop. And they've got to stop playing politics with this issue, Ari. They've got to, at some point, everybody has to say, you know what, I'm going to draw a line somewhere, and this is where I'm going to draw the line.
So she did not draw that line. And this is last year. This is, I'm going to show you a clip. Kamala Harris in Guatemala telling migrants and their families, do not come.
I want to be clear to folks in this region who are thinking about making that dangerous trek to the United States-Mexico border, do not come. Do not come. The United States will continue to enforce our laws and secure our border. There are legal methods by which migration can and should occur. But we, as one of our priorities, will discourage illegal migration. And I believe if you come to our border, you will be turned back.
So she changed real quick. She's like, do not come, fuck y'all. Crazy stuff. Your reaction, Abraham, the Democrats. Honestly, like, we talk about this all the time, how so many people, even the NGO industrial complex, the Democrats, they're so fucking good at co-opting and hiring people like us, young Latino, revolutionary radical people, to join these fake NGOs to bring people back to the Democrats. What are your thoughts on that? Because, man, to me, it seems like the Democrats have a real stronghold on the quote unquote immigrant rights movement. And why do we need to separate from them?
No, thanks for playing those two clips. Just because of it kind of just supports our points as like socialists, that under capitalism, immigration is weaponized, right? Immigration is capital needs, undocumented labor to allow them to make even more money. And we're seeing now just the contradictions of how Ukraine refugees are getting like this special treatment. They're allowed in. You see, when have you ever seen a president hold a black or brown baby, right, and actually feel something for them and talk about it? Like, I just saw the pain in their eyes or the struggle in their eyes. You've never seen a president hold a Haitian baby, a Guatemalan baby, a Mexican baby, right? They just leave them in cages. So you see this weaponization of immigrant policies. And then Kamala Harris too, for coming out, in Guatemala saying that, just don't come, right? And it's that when I saw that, I was pissed off. I was like, this is bullshit. Like, you have the power to change things for the majority of the world, right? To provide even better policy. But she's not doing that to Ukrainians, right? She's not going to Ukraine to say, hey, just don't come. There's a legal way to do things, or the right way to do things, because they use us as a political football when it's convenient for them. And the Democrats are I've read before, like, war gets smarter all the time, right? The way they fight wars, like we're seeing that right now in Russia. They're using the Ukrainians to fight the war. They're not sending U.S. troops. And I think they do the same thing when it comes to immigration, right? They use our own people to tell us, what's right or wrong, right? So like, oh, you got to believe him. He's a Mexican, right? He's telling you what's right or wrong. And they get smarter, and they get figure out creative ways to tell us that we're wrong and that we should do things better.
I feel like a perfect example of that is AOC. I feel like she plays the role of that imperialist token very well. And I say role very intentionally because I feel like politics is theater, right? Washington, D.C. is a stage. And anybody who takes that shit seriously, in my opinion, you got to think twice about that, because it's a theater. It's Hollywood. One thing that I always say is DC is Hollywood for ugly people, for imperialist uglies. And it's a place where they control our minds with these two fucking whack-ass parties, Democrats and Republicans. And they'll have somebody come on the stage like AOC. They'll hype her up. They'll be like, oh, she's so amazing. And her role and her lead, her script within this play called the U.S. Imperialism is to bring people like us back to the empire, right? Because around the time that she came out, there was a large group of people, especially black and brown youth, who are moving towards socialism, moving toward communism, and beginning to question both parties, beginning to be like, fuck ICE, fuck the U.S. system in general. And she came in basically appropriating those talking points, right? She came in initially saying like abolish ICE, and she came in talking about socialism. She's obviously, Puerto Rican. She's a person of color. So it's like she came in with all the right imagery and symbols, but then her role is to bring us back to the Democrats. Bring us back to this two-party system. I'm going to play a clip. This is her talking about kids in cages and concentration camps. And we'll talk a little bit more about the role of tokens in U.S. imperialism.
The United States is running concentration camps on our southern border. And that is exactly what they are. They are concentration camps. If that doesn't bother you, we can have, okay, whatever. I want to talk to the people that are concerned enough with humanity to say that we should not, that never again means something. And that the fact that concentration camps are now an institutionalized practice in the home of the free is extraordinarily disturbing. I don't use those words lightly. I don't use those words to just throw bombs. I use that word because that is what an administration that creates concentration camps is. A presidency that creates concentration camps is fascist. And it's very difficult to say that because it is very difficult to accept the fact that that is how bad things have gotten. But that is how bad things have gotten.
A lot of the concentration camps she's talking about, the migrant detention centers, were created under the Obama administration. That's number one. Number two, as you mentioned in your article, Abraham, Biden's administration, the Democrats, are building even more of them with new advanced technologies, with more surveillance. Where the fuck is AOC? Where is she talking about kids in cages and concentration camps now? You know, so I think this is a great example of why we got to stop falling for these fucking tokens, man. It's just great. Like, to me, like, I remember when Bernie came and then AOC and Rashida Tlaib and now this Supreme Court Justice, Ketanji, and like, they always have these actors come in and play the role of the radical minority, you know, to come in and bring us back to their system. And it's like, when are we going to stop falling for this shit? You know, it can be very frustrating. Yeah.
And then you saw also those terrible commercials from the CIA to diversify their department and have like these indigenous women and like these black and brown people. It's just like, come on, man. It's like we can't fall for it. We got to call them out, you know, for what they are. And yeah, I'm glad you played that clip too, because like, where's she at now? Right? Yeah. People are still in cages. People are still being detained. Even more and more people are. And there's no outrage at all. Because, you know, what they say is like, if you don't support the Democrats, then who are you going to support? Right. And it's just, yeah, they're just the like they say, the graveyard of the social movements.